Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I'm D Braggs once again here to talk Cyclone women's basketball. And today I've got a very special guest. You might know him as Brent Blum on Twitter, but I know him as one of the, what is it now, Brent, 19 NBA fans in Iowa?
Yeah, depending on if Niang's in the state or Halliburton
Right,
are in the state or not for something, because
right,
then it goes up. But
right.
yes,
Well, thank you, Brent,
roughly.
first of all, for joining the
You
show.
bet.
Happy to have you on. Talk some Iowa State women's hoops.
Love it. It's been what a fun ride it was last year, and the future
Absolutely.
looks bright.
Absolutely. So I guess we'll just start a little bit on last year. I know the season's been over for a little bit here, but I guess first question absolutely exceeded expectations. No.
I have to. I think especially with considering some of the uncertainty in September and October, November with Emily Ryan to really come into that and rely so much on freshmen. And it's easy to look back now and say, oh, well, we knew Audie Crooks was going to be good.
Right.
She didn't start the first game,
Right.
so and there was a lot of question marks of how would her game translate from Algona Garrigan to the Big 12, and clearly it did. And I really think from the jump, Addie Brown came in determined to be one of the best players in the Big 12, and the staff really saw that when they went on their foreign trip. So
Yeah.
you kind of had murmurs this summer. It's like, okay, if it comes together, we're going to be all right. But nobody could have guessed with Emily Ryan's health, and then Hannah Bellinger dealt some health stuff over the summer as well, for it to come together that well that quickly. And I think really the turning point for everybody was actually the loss to Iowa, when
Yeah.
you could kind of see that, all right, we know Iowa's really good, clearly, and Iowa State was ahead with 4 minutes left, and I think that gave that team a boost that really carried over the rest of the year, and they only continued to get better. And man, if they would have played that Stanford game 10 times, I think Iowa State wins at least half of them the way that game was going.
Yeah. You have to think that Crooks doesn't go 3 of 21 all that often. I mean, Cameron Brink, the second pick in the WNBA draft, and Kiki Iriafen now in the portal, but
Yes.
some saying she's even better than Cameron Brink. So
She was the best player, or she was better of the two that night. Yeah,
yes,
she was
yes,
for as well as and that was the fun part is, and Iowa State just made every single shot, and Emily Ryan could not have played any better.
yeah.
So I think that game has to give this team a lot of confidence going to the offseason as well. I think it was actually a huge help for the momentum they've carried it here into April.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick shout out to all the uh, Bishop Garrigan high school players somehow limiting Audie Crooks to 40 points. She's doing that against Division One teams. Brent, how
That's
did they
right.
do that? How did
I don't know.
Division One and 2A Iowa high school girls keep Audie Crooks to 40 points?
I think members of the Big 12 are going to be reaching out to that conference, being
Yeah,
like, "Hey, what's the recipe?" And it's scary. It's like she was so good towards the end of the last year, and arguably Iowa State has even more weapons around her
yeah,
now with the work in the portal. So I think you
yeah.
got to be super excited if you're a women's basketball fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Exceeded expectations. A lot of development coming from that freshman class. So now, moving that into the little portal session that we've got going on here, I think the biggest thing to me, losing Jalen Bristow, I think that's a massive loss.
Sure.
I don't know, what the plans were for her moving forward. I don't know how, long ago she knew that she was going to go, back closer to home. She's obviously committed to Texas Tech now. Um, but currently there's not really a backup to Audie. We've lost Natabu as well. How big of a loss really have we got here with these players that have left?
Yeah, and it's really hard to say. I think I would caution people. I think anytime anybody leaves, it's either one, it's an NIL situation, or two, it's they don't like it here or whatever. I
Yeah.
think in both those cases, it's fair to say they had reasons separate of what the obvious might be.
Yes.
And so I would just caution people not to jump to too many conclusions. And yeah, Bristow, wonderful person. uh, Nadu is a wonderful person as well. I don't think they left on negative terms at all.
Right.
Just like some. But that said, yes, both are a loss. You just need size. You need size now, and so I think
Yeah.
when you're looking at if Iowa State has clearly addressed what I would say is that the shooting issue with both Hare and TCU, the player from TCU that will really help there. And both have okay size, but yes, I think that's the one issue, Brags, that they still have is they need another post presence. just
Yeah,
to provide some basically some Audie relief. And Audie is going to get in foul trouble. She has been
right.
in foul trouble, and you just need another post anyway. So rest assured, the staff is very aware of that, and I think they've got even players on campus this week that are going to potentially impact in that area.
Yeah, you mentioned Kenzie Hare as well as Sydney Harris, the two pickups from just this week. Back to back days, just
Yeah,
great pickups. I mean, this team is, I think you said it on the pod with Williams, that this team is going to be impossible to guard. They've got so much shooting, and then, I mean, like, you double Audie, somebody's open, and if you don't double Audie, she's going to make you look silly. So,
right. And so I think I was just doing some looking this morning. Hare shot 42% from three
yeah,
on 200 and some attempts.
yeah,
So just to give you some context, that's the same number of attempts as Bridget Carlton did her senior year, roughly. And Bridget was at 36%.
yeah,
So, I mean, that is really, really impressive stuff for
yeah,
as many attempts. And I didn't watch a whole lot of Marquette, but I would venture to guess that the amount of open shots will be a lot higher when you have Audie Crooks and Addie Brown and
yeah,
Emily Ryan than what she was against Big East competition, which is no slouch either. So,
right.
and then yeah, and then you've got and then Harris as well. I mean, the volume of attempts wasn't quite what Hare did, but still, you shoot it at that level in the Big 12. You were a MAC freshman of the year at one point, and
Yeah,
you have size. It's like I don't want to say that anybody's replacing whoever. I do think though, as of today, Iowa State's transfers in are a net addition from what they had last year.
yeah, I think you say that you got a couple people that might be on campus here visiting to just sort of replace, or not really replace anybody, but sort of fill that secondary post players position.
Yep.
And then I mean, like you said, I mean, really the losses here. I don't want to downplay anybody leaving, but I mean, Mary Kate King wasn't really ever on the floor. Dawkins wasn't ever really on the floor, and now you've brought in two shooters to go along with your freshman class that are shooters, and all of a sudden you've got five or six gals that can knock down five or six 3-pointers in a game if you need them to.
Exactly. And so I think that actually the caution now in this era, and you saw it, you're seeing on the men's side and the women's side, is coaches are struggling with, in a way, how much talent do I want to bring in because there's
Yeah,
only one ball and there's
yeah,
only so many minutes. And you still have, even in this crazy portal NIL era, playing time still matters, cultural still matters. So I know there's also a caution for everybody involved here. It's like, okay, we still know who our go-to players are going to be. We only have one ball, and so
right.
it's great to have as much talent as you can, but you also have to get the right pieces and fill them in accordingly. So I think coaching is as hard as it's ever been. You're dealing with all these factors, but the whole playing time still hasn't changed.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then you take what you've now added in the portal, and now you look forward to next year. Brent, this is top 15 team, right?
I
In
think
the
so. I mean,
preseason.
yeah, I have a hard time thinking there's 14, 15 teams better than Iowa State on paper. I
Right.
mean, this is a team that ended the year in the top 25, and again, I think the additions are going to be an upgrade over what you lost. Nothing against those who did leave,
Yeah.
and others lost a bunch more. I mean, I think we were talking with on Fanatic today. It's like you look around the rest of the Big 12, and Lee's back at K State. K State's going to be good again, but they lost some pieces. Texas and Oklahoma are both now gone,
Yeah.
and they obviously were very good. The Arizona schools, Arizona's been good. Arizona State is not good. Colorado has been good. Utah's been okay at times, good. So it's like Baylor, is always going to be there. But I guess all that being said, I think Iowa State's got to be, picked one or two in the preseason in the Big 12, and then naturally you're going to be in the top 15 as a result. So, I mean, without knowing what every single team has coming back, I have to think Iowa State not only will be in there, but then Iowa State's going to start getting some headlines as well.
Yeah.
I think we're on the precipice of Audie Crooks turning into superstardom. I
Yeah.
really do. I mean, she started to get it towards the ends of the NCAA tournament. I'll just say that as the NIL person who's helped her a little bit, there are a lot of things coming down her road, which is great and super exciting for her.
Yeah.
And honestly, um, it's pretty exciting that she stuck it out at Iowa State too, because
Yeah.
she obviously She's one that is going to have other opportunities, but all of
Absolutely.
these NIL things that are coming her way because of what she's done and because of the type of person she is, I think will keep her at Iowa State for the long term because she'll be able to get these things even in Ames.
Right. Yeah, I think that's kind of what everybody's sort of worried about now in this NIL era is that can Iowa State keep up? And you have that you mentioned earlier that the culture, the talent, the coaching staff, just it's not so much gaining people, it's retaining what you have and building that chemistry and keeping that, it's now the Fab Four, but keeping those
For
classes
sure.
together and just building off of that. And I think that's a really big thing that Iowa State has going for them.
Yeah, I'd say, that the closeness between that group is huge because I mean there is something to if you like your teammates, you want
Yeah.
to keep hanging around
Yeah.
them. I mean, I know there is NIL money and I would say all of those folks, all those Fab Four could have had other opportunities elsewhere with probably more compensation
Yeah.
potentially. But then you have a good thing going. Clearly you work well together, so why break up a good thing? And I think that continuity has really helped and is I would say of all of Iowa State's, and this is across all sports, Iowa State's secret sauce is not in the amount of money we can raise. It's in that entire big picture. People going to
Right.
the games is so big because there are so many schools that they can offer more money, but nobody cares. It's like, well, what's the point then? So I do think all of those factors add up, but that closeness and gosh, who wouldn't want to play with the quality of people like an AJ or an Addie Brown or Kelsey and Audie? I mean, they're just fun to be around, and I think that is also helping get new talent here too.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't even really talk about Ariana Jackson and,
Oh,
and Kelsey Jones really at
yeah,
all, but I mean they're still there. They're still
and they're
there.
gonna get better. I think
Yeah.
that's the thing is, I mean, they had to think about the impact they had just as freshmen.
Yeah.
They're going to get better too, and so that's where you just keep adding pieces. And I'm excited for all of their futures at Iowa State. And I really think if this group can hang together, who knows? Who
Yeah,
knows where it can get
absolutely.
to?
Absolutely. I really do think the sky's the limit with this group and this team, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I think they've got a lot of potential. They brought in all these shooters to sort of contrast and get along with the post presence of Audie Crooks, and I'm excited to see where that goes. And you've got that senior leadership in Emily Ryan, and now you bring in those other guards that are upperclassmen. Because Brent, I'm not gonna lie, there wasn't a lot of upperclassmen left.
No,
It was
no,
basically just Emily. So now you've got some of that leadership. You've got some of that experience in some of those big time games. You mentioned the Big East, and then obviously Sydney Harris had some big 20-point games in the Big 12 just this
for
past
sure.
year. So, and obviously you mentioned, I think, what was it, Mac Player of the Year or Mac?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So I mean,
Freshman of the year. Yep.
freshman of the year. Yeah. So you've got that experience, you've got that leadership, and now it's just getting that one final post presence and go from there.
Well, I think the other part is now all these freshmen and have played in big games before, and so the next big game you're in gets easier and easier. And not that these four shied away from the big moment anyway. I mean, clearly Audie and Addie. I mean, the
Yeah.
amount of daggers Addie Brown hit in that Stanford game was unbelievable. But you've got a lot of good things. You've got experience built in, and I still think you give me one game from an X's and O's perspective. Give me Coach Fenley,
Yeah.
and I'd say you give him a couple more tools to work with, a couple more weapons, and this offense is going to be really, really good. And so, yeah, they clearly know they need another post. They're working on it, and I think there could be good news coming from that front here coming the next couple of days.
Oh, we love to hear it. Brent, thank you for coming on. I guess I'll give you the floor here to promote yourself and where can people find you and
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, appreciate everyone's support and what I would say specifically because you do such a great job, Bregs, of covering women's basketball. Just want to let people know that they can donate directly to our women's basketball fund at the We Will Collective. So there's a drop down menu when you go to our donations page, and or just email me and I can make sure it goes to the right place. But I want to let people know that that is an opportunity. And then we also have a golf outing just for women's basketball in September. If you head to our website, all the women's basketball team and staff are going to be there, and all the money raised, it's at Ames Country Club in September, and all the money raised that day will go directly to helping out the women's basketball players. And I know you know this, but just give you a quick highlight of the quality people that are at Iowa State on the women's team and really everywhere. Ariana Jackson used a significant amount of the NIL money she received from us last year to buy season tickets for one of the student clubs at her Roosevelt High School for kids with disabilities, and so that's how she used her money. I mean, it really is cool stuff, and NIL gets kind of a bad word, but there are people at Iowa State that are really doing some great things with it, and AJ and the rest of the women's team are certainly at the front of that of quality people doing great things. So you should be proud to support them.
Absolutely, you gave me goosebumps saying that, Brent. That's so awesome that
It's true.
people's money is going to good stuff like that. So
Yeah, and I think sometimes you hear all the negative headlines, but there are people in every sport at Iowa State that we support that are literally helping out others less
yeah,
fortunate than them with their dollars. So trust me, it's it can be a scary thing, but a lot of this is going to really cool things.
yeah, there are still those people like Ariana. There are still those purchase more ham and bacon.
Yes.
It's not all just throwing dollar signs at people.
Yeah, and
So
then we've got. I mean, I could tell you a couple stories, but Rocco Beck, the quarterback at Iowa State. I mean, he's going to do some stuff this summer. Is going to hopefully get some really neat headlines because of what he's doing with his NIL money. I don't want to ruin his surprise, but there are really cool people at Iowa State doing great things, and that's what we have to do to keep competitive, but also because it is the right thing to do.
yeah. So I'll just let everybody know. Links to all the We Will stuff will be down in the description. Go help out the Cyclone women. Go help out the Cyclones in the NIL department. Brent, thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
You, pal. Yeah, anytime, reach out.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, click that like button, click subscribe, comment your thoughts down below on what you think the Cyclone women can do next season, and we will see you guys next time. Peace out.